Now we happen to be on the 14th of Shvat. It marks the Hilula of Rabbi Daniel HaLevi, or I believe his full name was Rabbi Daniel HaLevi. Very, very great rabbi of his time, Egyptian rabbi. Now we haven't spoken probably as many as some of the other rabbis within regards to the Egyptian community as much as the other communities, but very, very interesting over here. And 14th of Shvat obviously marks the day before the Jewish festival of Tu B'Shvat. That's something we very much have to expound on ourselves. So who was he? He was born, he came from rabbinic auspices. I think his father's name was Rav Shlomo, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Leah. And was born towards the end of the 19th century in Damascus in the year 1896. He grew up great Torah, and among many of the great rabbis from Damascus over there, he would get married eventually to a woman of the name Marat Simcha. She was the daughter of Borisa, I believe. Come on, the year 1914, he would have been about 18 years of age at that point in time, approximately. They would move to Aval Mitzrayim, to Egypt. They would move, and Vityashev Alexandria. And he will end up going to Alexandria over there. But Alexandria, Siya Bidei Chacham Avram Chaim Na'a, שגלה לאלכסנדריה לתקופה המלחמה והקים בה את ישיבת ארץ ישראל. So at that point in time, first of all, he'll have a correspondence, a connection. Rav Avram Chaim Na'a, another rabbi spoken about here in this series of it. There'll be the establishment of Yeshivat Eretz Yisrael. Very interesting. Now, who was Rabbi Avram Chaim Na'a? We've spoken about him also on various occasions before. I think we did record a video about him. He actually was born between the 1890 to 1954. He was a rabbi. He was a dayan. He was, I think he was very much connected to the Chabad movement. He's a famous Chabad rabbi and famous for the works on the Ketzot, Ashulchan, Piskei Hasidur, the Shurei Mikveh, the Shurei Torah, various different great works. I think he converted the biblical measurements into contemporary measurements. He was famous. It's actually interesting. He was actually born in Hebron, if I'm not mistaken. His father was Rabbi Menachem Mendel Na'eh. And very, very interesting. He would study in his youth in the Ohel Moshe Yeshiva under Rabbi Yitzchak Yorchem Diskin. And I think he would publish the Chanoch Le'Na'ar. It's a book containing the laws for boys of Bar Mitzvah. And very interesting, most notably, which we're talking about at the moment, when World War I broke out, the Ottoman authorities expelled people from Palestine who did not possess Turkish citizenship. Many of the dispossessed Jews would go to Alexandria in Egypt, where Rabbi Na'eh would open this yeshiva called Yeshivat Eretz Yisrael. And this yeshiva would have about 200 students, Talmudim, that were exiled from Jerusalem. And I think over there he would write the Shanot Chayim, for example, a special a code of Jewish law for Sephardic Jews. And in 1918, he would return eventually to Palestine and served as a personal secretary of the Eidah Haredit under Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld over there. And I think he was a founding member of the Rabbinical Council of Agudat Yisrael in Jerusalem and would help found the Haredi newspaper called Kol Yisrael and Hamodia. Very interesting enough. So he's a key figure over here in Eretz Yisrael and Jewish history in of itself. But we're going on a bit of a tangent over here. It's also very much connected to the Lubavitch movement, but you can see it was very much connected to the Sephardi community also, and with the undertakings he did. Now, it was in the year 1947, it happened to have been, where I think at that point in time, it says over here, but in 1947, he'll be able to eventually, I think, thanks also to Rav Na'ah, return to Jerusalem, Lord Sila, or et Sifro Shurei HaTorah. This Torah colossal book of the Shurei Torah would actually be published at that point in time. Now, Letzad Isukot b'Torah, Chacham Daniel HaLevi shalach yado b'mitzchah. So he would be working in some sort of trade and be very successful. So he was doing huge amounts with regards to wealth and donating and doing chesed work. I think it was in the year 1948, at the time period of the Yom Ha'atzmaut War, respectively, of the establishment of Medinat Yisrael. Chacham Daniel HaLevi nichla b'machane hasege avu kir shliad Alexandria. Yachad im od me'ot Yehudim, along with a few hundreds of Jews, עסקני ציבור שהיו חשודים בהעדה לציונות, על אף תנאי המאסר הקשים. הקדיש את זמנו במסירות לתפילה וללמוד תורה. So very, very interesting. Anyone tuning in live at the moment here, welcome to our community as we are exploring the Jewish history of a great famous rabbi of his time. And yeah, much has been said within regards to him. And yeah, so basically in a nutshell, because during the War of Independence, he was imprisoned because and put in detention camp near Alexandria with hundreds of other Jews because he was suspected, let's just say, of collaborating with Zionism. Let's just state in itself. But apparently it's reported over there was very harsh conditions in his imprisonment. Obviously, you can see the anti-Semitism there. He will still just be immersed in Torah, Tefillah, and non-stop over there. That's something that I'll have to very much point out. Then I think it was come out the year 1955. Allah let Israel. He would actually live in Bat Yam, B'shchunat Ramat Yosef, in a neighborhood called Ramat Yosef, V'shemesh Rab B'shchunato, and he was a rabbi of that neighborhood. In 1970, Hotzila Or et Sifro Kerem Edal. So that he will bring out that book in himself. Ramazim Uperushim ala Torah. He will bring out different Perushim, expoundations on the Torah. Or Tamachel Lechave V'achava. בהיותו אסיר ציון במחנה הסקה בבו קיר. And I think in the year 1978 הוציא לאור חוברות בשם קדושת ישראל. There'll be that Torah colossal book in himself. 1980 it was תש"מ. סופית התפרסם מאמרו שאלות קטנות בכתב העת המאסף חוברות 3 בעריכת חכם עזרא בצרי. So very much be organized through Rav Ezra Batsri, if I'm not mistaken. Rav Ezra Batsri is no, let's just say, stranger. We've spoken about him on various occasions over here inside the series. The Batsri family was a very, very great family. Who was Rav Ezra Batsri? I believe he would organize this. And yeah, he was born in, I believe, 1937. He's 89 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. And won various different prizes, we have to point out. And I think he's a grandson, if I'm not mistaken, of Rav Yosef Chaim, which is very, very interesting. Rav Yosef Chaim being the famous Ben Ish Chai, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think he actually learned in Yeshivat Porat Yosef under Rav Ezra Atiyah and Rav Yehuda Tzadka, if I'm not mistaken. And he would have a correspondence with Rav Yitzchak Nisim. And it was a Bet Din in Rehovot originally, and it's taken on various different positions. A head of Jewish court, most notably in Jerusalem, and has authored various different great works. We have to point out this great rabbi. It's actually interesting. I think his wife's name is Rabbanit Sima Batsri. She passed away sadly in February 2021. Yeah, and I think they would actually bring about the Sidrat Svarim, Nisu'in Mishima, if I'm not mistaken, or Mashima B'Shatnaim, and various other great books he has published in his time, especially through Dinei Memonot, Dinei Ishot, Hilchot Rebit, Sharei Ezra, and various other books also. So we're just going on a bit of a tangent, just speaking about Rav Ezra Batsri. Hashem, may he live till 120, Bezrat Hashem. Over here. Okay, so it's interesting. I think in 1980, פורסם מאמר נוסף שלו בספר מנחת אהרון, שיצא לאור לזכרו של חכם אהרון שווקה. So very interesting. Who was Rav Aaron over here? We've spoken about him also before. He lived between 1897 to 1978. He was a darshan in Syria, I think. Also work in Egypt. He will be a rabbi over there. I think eventually he would live in the neighborhood of Ma'uz Abib. Oh, it's part of various importances in Tel Aviv, and yeah, I think we did speak about him, if I'm not mistaken. I think his grandfather was of Aaron Shvecha, if I'm not mistaken, who was a Chacham Bashi. He was a chief rabbi in Chalab, and he himself, I think, would also learn in Yeshivat Porat Yosef. We're talking about Rav Aaron over there at one stage in time, and I think he would establish Yeshivat Ahava in Cairo, if I'm not mistaken, right by the synagogue over there, and took on various different, let's just say, importances in his time. He was a very, very famous rabbi, and that is something that we have to very much point out. Friends, anyone tuning in live, welcome to our community as we are exploring history within regards to a great rabbi. So let's continue over here. Chidushin Masvim Shelo Vit Chat Viota Im Chachmei Doro. There's a special book called the Mikveh HaMayim where various teachings of a lot of the rabbis will come about, especially to Rabbi Moshe Malka, who we've spoken about before, the Sefer She'erit Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda Chaim Trab, the Sefer Ma'aneh Lashon, L'Chacham Avram Chafuta, in the book called Yaskil Abdi, and L'Chacham Avodah Hodaya, in his book the She'erit Yosef, and L'Chacham Yosef Sosa HaKohen. Many of these are great rabbis we have spoken about extensively over here inside this series. Let me just say something about Rabbi Traub over here, because he is someone that I think we recorded a video with in regards to him very, very recently, if I'm not mistaken. I think he lived between 1871 to 1946, also head of Jewish court in Egypt. I was a mohel and an author, and we did record a video, I think it was about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he was author of many different great books. And it'll actually be interesting when he passes away, I believe. Rav Vad Yosef and Rav Shlomo Katzin will take on importances, let's just say, anyway. And he was a rabbi of Rav Yosef Dana, if I'm not mistaken. Rav Yosef Dana being a very famous darshan, posek halacha, kabbalist, and head of Jewish court and of communities, I think, especially over there, especially in his places he actually had been. So that's very, very interesting for it. So we spoke about the people. Now he passed away on the 14th of Shvat in the year 1980, and he was buried in Har HaZeitim. Now friends, we're going to take a short break for a minute, so watch your space. We'll be back in 1 minute. So please, in the meantime, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I'll be back in half a minute. Hi, shalom, everyone. Thanks for being patient over here as we're exploring the life of a great rabbi over here today. So anyone you're new here on this community, welcome, and wishing all a Shavua Tov as we're exploring the highlights with regards to Rabbi Daniel HaLevi, very great rabbi of his time, a rabbi we've spoken about here on various occasions before. Let's explore a few of the highlights from his book. Now, first of all, in the National Library of Israel, I believe there's a publication of his book. And there is a section within regards to him. That's something I very much have to point out. And I think it was published maybe in 1960, if I'm not mistaken, and had as many as 546 pages, if I'm not mistaken. So it's and had I think it had 37 sections, if I'm not mistaken. But I can't actually see. I can see actually the front page of the book in of itself. But he happens to have been a famous person of his time. So let's explore a few of the highlights, friends, of his Torah colossal work and how important actually it happens to be over here, friends. Okay. One teachings he will give over is Melamed sheben Torah mutar lo le'echol basar shema'ala ba'al chayim medargato. This actually features in the Kerem Dal, I think in page Kuf Samach Vav. And I think it was actually printed in Tel Aviv in 1971. So I'm not too sure why it said 1960 under Google Books, but that's very, very interesting. So that's, let's just say, first Chidush I want to give over from his various teachings. Another teaching says, Melamed, Shegam boneacha b'chome b'levanim tzrichim liyot limudei Hashem. This is actually come also from the second section this time, and page Reish Fei Gimel. And then another teaching, Melamed, Hanik be'ma laramuz sheyiten ba'aseh etzbotav ba'ain yafeh. This comes once again from the second section, I believe, and from page Shin Nun Tet, I believe, friends. Another teaching, Melamed, Ba'avat la'arecha hi nishmatecha kumocha or ba'kegufecha. This is an important teaching, I think very much featured in page Reish Mem Chet. And another teaching, Melamed, Lo yachel davaro shalem nedro kodem yom hadin lifnei haterem nedarim. This is once again from the Kerem Dal, from page Shin Chaf Bet. And then, friends, one last teaching of his, Melamed mitzvah min hamuvuchar lilmod teilim behashkama. And this comes from page Reish Aleph, I believe, and this once again was printed in the year 1971. So he was famous rabbi of his time, rabbi I think we've spoken about here on various occasions before. His name was Rabbi Daniel HaLevi. Very, very famous, so very interesting. So I recommend everyone to learn more, look more about him, about all of the great rabbis that we've spoken about here on this series already. Now, friends, we're a community here. We are exploring the history of some of the great rabbis of yesteryear. Like, we're trying to do biography videos, like short biography videos. We've already recorded about approximately more than 1,400 rabbis over here in this series. We're like an online encyclopedia. We are trying to be the moment where we really get the breadth of what went on in all the Ottoman countries, North African countries, Spanish countries, all those vicinities in of itself. And thank God we are really able to get like a good breadth and learn about it. And I think it's very, very much important. We try and record the videos on the time period of the Hilula of the Chacham. It happens to be the Hilula here on the 14th of Shvat of Rabbi Daniel HaLevi. So he was a great rabbi. He will be a rabbi in, as we said before, in both Syria and in Egypt. He will have various prominent positions, which was absolutely amazing. And much more can be said within regards to that. And I would recommend everyone to learn more about him, about the great rabbi, and just learn more about many of the great rabbis. If you go onto the Stories of Tzaddikim section here on our page, you will see many biography videos and importance, let's just say, within regards to famous Chachamim of yesteryear over here. I think we've spoken already about maybe 20 to 25 rabbis that will make their mark in Egypt at one window of time. So that's something I very much have to stress over. And I trust that everyone is going to learn more and look more within regards to the famous Chachamim of yesteryear. So I think it's an opportune time to wish you all a Shavua Tov V'rach. Fantastic day, fantastic week. And friends, remember, if you haven't yet subscribed to our community, please subscribe now and join, as we have, as you can see, a lot of phenomenal content. So be well, Shavua Tov, and thanks.